Ladies and gentlemen, now allow me to introduce our National Vision Panel, Sustainability Strategies for Competitiveness and Growth. Please welcome on stage His Excellency Dr. Sheikh Abdullah bin Ahmed Khalifa, Minister of Transportation Telecommunications, His Excellency Abdullah bin Adil Fakhr, Minister of Industry and Commerce, Sheikh Khalifa Khalifa, Chief Executive Officer of Bahrain Bourse, and our moderator, Giuseppe Bonacorsi, Managing Director and Partner, Boston Consulting Group. Gentlemen, good luck.
Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning, distinguished guests. It's an honor for me to be here. I really feel energized by this discussion on sustainability. Sustainability is at the core of local competitiveness in the region. Many countries already undertaken many steps, and Bahrain is definitely at the forefront of sustainability. Many strategic initiatives have been already undertaken since the last few years on many fronts. And today we will discuss in particular some strategic sectors like transportation, like capital markets, and like the local industries, how they embedded sustainability into their long-term strategies and their long-term competitive levers. I would start from the aviation sector. Aviation is at the core of Bahrain. Connectivity is at the core of tourism and trade. And the modernization of the airport, the increased trade in Bahrain is a testament of the great work done on operational efficiency, sustainable aviation fuels. Your Excellency, how is Bahrain introducing and pushing for more sustainability going forward?
صباحكم الله بخير جميعا. I would like to begin by extending my thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Mdena for his kind invitation for me to join this distinguished panel. Giuseppe, thank you for this introduction. Building on 75 years of aviation heritage in Bahrain. Aviation has always been a major contributor to development. Aviation enhances connectivity, it enhances tourism and openness to the world. And we believe that sustainability should be at the forefront within the aviation industry to enhance competitiveness and enable it rather than constrain it. That is at the heart and at the core of the national aviation strategy that we had recently put together through the contribution of all relevant stakeholders within the aviation industry. Upgrading the aviation ecosystem with infrastructure and sustainability at the heart of that progress. Within the aviation industry, every minute counts, whether on the ground or on air. What we have reviewed over the past few months that cultivated in the National Aviation Strategy, having infrastructure and sustainability as the main pillar of the strategy, looking into the modernization project of the Bahrain International Airport, looking into introducing sustainable infrastructure and services within the airport itself. And here I would like to truly commend the work that is being done by Gulf Air Group, by Bahrain Airport Company, by Babco Energies, by Bahrain Airport Services for working hand in hand with the Civil Aviation Affairs to develop that. Now, looking into developing the infrastructure within the airport itself, introducing sustainable green infrastructure, focusing primarily on operational efficiency. I mentioned the 1 minute. What does that translate in terms of sustainability and environmental responsibility? An Airbus 321 would burn 20 kilograms of fuel while taxiing every minute. So with around 60,000 narrow-bodied aircrafts moving around Bahrain International Airport every year, that would accumulate to 1.2 million kilograms of fuel burnt for 1 minute of taxiing for a single aircraft. Imagine the ripple effect that could be done when optimizing the air traffic control that requires, as Dr. Mahmoud rightly mentioned, the aligning of policies. We at the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunications, as a regulator, the Civil Aviation Affairs would do its part when coordinating with the relevant stakeholders, primarily the Bahrain International Airport, but it requires the optimization of air traffic control. Looking into sustainable air fuel. Now we are working closely with our partner stakeholders, Babco Energies and international stakeholders. Look into the possibility of adopting and promoting sustainable air fuel. Now it would require to scale up operationally, commercially. It will take time, yes, but on the long run, this might be a sustainable solution for the future. If we look into the impact on air, we are working quite closely with our Gulf partners under the umbrella of the Gulf Cooperation Council. And once again, we welcome the Secretary General and thank his support for the enhancement of air connectivity, but also we commend the recent decision by our Gulf leaders during the recent Gulf Summit held in Bahrain last December to establish the Gulf Civil Aviation Authority. That part of the work that is being currently done is establishing a unified upper FIR amongst the 6 Gulf member states. What will that mean? This would definitely enhance flight optimization. It would reduce the flight timing, and it would provide a cost-effective experience for flights and for passengers. And again, I'll go back to the 1 minute. This time I'll say 2 minutes. If we optimize 2 minutes of flight, a Boeing 747 would burn 240 kilograms of fuel every 2 minutes. I'll give you a moment to absorb that number. Last year alone, Bahrain Civil Aviation Flight Information Center managed around 520 flights over the Bahrain FIR, the Bahrain Flight Information Region. 520,000 flights a year. If you would save just the 2 minutes of operational efficiency, that would translate into around 80 million kilograms of fuel and 200 million kilograms of carbon emissions. Those are the sort of policy alignments that we are working on, and we truly believe that through collective work and effort on a national level, and we are confident following the adoption of the National Aviation Strategy, that such policies would have a significant impact, because aligning such policies translate into environmental responsibility. So we believe in Bahrain, through investment in sustainable and green infrastructure, through smart aligned regulations, through the promotion of sustainable aviation fuel, through operational efficiency on the ground and in air, this would contribute to having the Kingdom of Bahrain environmentally responsible, economically viable, and globally competitive.
Thank you, Your Excellency. This is a great achievement and way to... Shifting towards the industries, the Bahrain National Industry Strategy is based on greenification, digitalization, automation, and innovation. There is a strong focus also on shifting the value pools toward more downstream industries and adding more value. Your Excellency, how is sustainability contributing to the further growth of the industries locally, and how do you see productivity, how do you see new jobs?
Excuse me. Thank you, Giuseppe, for the question. Thank you for our generous hosts for having us. Giuseppe, sustainability today within the industrial sector is not simply a side agenda. It is ingrained within each one of our pillars within the strategy, our industrial strategy for the years 2022 to 2026, which came following the economic recovery plan, really has some key targets and key pillars, all of which are very much tied into sustainability. Starting with our targets, our number one target is to increase industry's contribution to GDP. And in the third quarter of 2025, manufacturing has surpassed the oil and gas sector as our second contributor, largest contributor to GDP, following financial services. And today, in Q4, oil and gas again surpassed manufacturing, but essentially they are neck to neck today, and which very much aligns with our strategy of diversifying our economy away from the oil and gas sector. So increasing industry's contribution to GDP, increasing the number of national exports, and increasing the number of jobs, high-quality jobs for Bahraini nationals, all of which are very much tied to manufacturing. An essential part of our strategy is increasing automation and supporting local manufacturers to move towards Industry 4.0. And ultimately what that does is increase productivity of factories, which ultimately increases exports and increases GDP. So we realize that attracting an investment, whether it's an FDI or a local investment, to build a factory and to start producing takes a length of time. And it's much quicker to depend on local existing factories. We have almost 800 factories in Bahrain, to support them to invest in automation so that the productivity goes up. And so I'd like to mention, if you allow me, a few key initiatives which we launched at the Ministry of Industry and Commerce to support in our efforts towards sustainability. A very important one is the iFactories. As I mentioned, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce tied up with Temkeen, which is our labor fund, to support businesses increase automation and digitization in their factories. So Temkeen supports by co-investing in these investments. And of course, ultimately the goal is to increase our productivity and ultimately GDP. So we do an assessment of the factory. It's called the SIRI assessment, Smart Industrial Readiness Index. And based on the score they receive, we give them recommendations on where to invest to improve this, digitization and automation. The second important initiative is our Takamul initiative, which is our in-country value program, which essentially gives incentives to manufacturers to buy locally and source locally and support local businesses. And if they achieve the score, which is not very difficult to achieve, they are able to benefit from incentives, including a 10% advantage on government tenders and government purchases. So the Takamul program is very important. The second phase of the Takamul program was tying up with regional partners in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the UAE to jointly recognize each other's incentive programs. So today, following the agreement of those two countries, Today, a manufacturer in Bahrain who fulfills the in-country value metrics within Bahrain is able to benefit from incentives in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the UAE, two of the largest GCC markets, and they make up over 75% of GCC GDP. The final one I'd like to mention is the Green Factory Seal, which is a recognition we give to factories who support green manufacturing, and there are several ways to achieve that by increasing the number of solar energy used, by having carbon capture, and a few other metrics they're able to achieve. And we tied up with the private sector to give them benefits and advantages and incentives if they receive the Green Factory Seal. Last year, we gave that award to 30 factories in Bahrain. This year, hopefully next month, we'll be awarding another 16 factories. So that's just to give you a little bit of a brief on the sustainability, but absolutely sustainability forms a critical part of our existing strategy up to 2026 and will play an even more important role in the strategy from 26 to for the next 4 years until 2030. Thank you.
Your Excellency, shifting towards capital markets. This has been historically a very strategic sector for Bahrain, and sustainability represents a clear lever to attract more investors, more investments, and also a way to create more confidence in terms of transparency and ESG standards in the country. How do you see the role of sustainability going forward to attract even more investments in the Kingdom of Bahrain?
Well, let's start by telling you a story. So ESG, as an acronym, I didn't understand it back then in 2017. We went on a roadshow, and most of the asset managers were asking first about ESG before asking about the financials of any of the companies, of capital market metrics. So we went back and engaged in a discussion, and we did our due diligence and understood back then how important ESG and sustainability to the future, not only as an exchange, but the capital market as a whole. So in 2018, we signed the UN Stock Exchange Initiative, followed by a voluntary guideline on ESG for listed company. And what surprised us since then, while it's voluntarily, almost 60 or 70% of the companies have abided by these guidelines before even mandating them, which was in 2023. So it shows the level of maturity of companies in Bahrain in adapting ESG standards. And therefore, when we mandated the companies on some of the ESG reporting, it was received positively with no firebacks on all of the listed companies. We followed that by issuing on regional level the ESG GCC disclosure standards, which has been received also positively among the capital market participants in GCC. Therefore, we went ahead later on to follow these standards in Bahrain. Also in 2024, we signed the Net Zero Financial Services Initiative, which followed also the signing with the company Safa, which is a Bahrain-based carbon offsetting platform. And as my colleagues, excellencies mentioned, this has been the strategy of Bahrain Bourse. It will continue be a pillar in our strategy moving forward. But this is all part of the Bahrain national strategy on net zero and sustainability in the future.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Going back into the transportation sector and talking about maritime, the Kingdom of Bahrain plays a key role in regional trade and regional supply chains. Globally, there is a strong push for decarbonization, digitalization, and geopolitical implications. How is Bahrain positioned going forward when it comes to leveraging more and more sustainability in its port and more generally on the trade infrastructure?
Being an island nation, the Kingdom of Bahrain has historically been dependable on the sea with regards to connectivity, trade, commerce, food security. So the matter of sustainability within the maritime industry to us is pivotal. So over the years, maritime has been contributing to the development of Bahrain in different spheres, but primarily connectivity, maritime connectivity is at the heart of it. So we've got Khalifa bin Salman Port, operated currently by APM Terminals, as one out of 62 ports they operate globally. When we talk about sustainability, one of the first things that would come in anyone's mind is renewable energy. But to us, sustainability goes hand in hand with efficiency. And we always focus on how can sustainability reinforce operational efficiency. And we have seen that being reflected in the port in maritime affairs last year, when the Khalifa bin Salman port was chosen to be the most efficient port out of the 60 ports or 62 ports operated by APM Terminals. Now, what does that mean? Efficiency would optimize the vessel time in the port. It would reduce carbon emissions, and it will increase the operational efficiency of the infrastructure. Now, over the years, we have been working, the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunications, and specifically at the Ports and Maritime Affairs, with APM Terminals to develop the infrastructure at Khalifa bin Salman Port. Today, Khalifa bin Salman Port relies on renewable energy. Decarbonization is at the heart of that. Digitalization, as was mentioned earlier during the discussions, along with the electrification of equipment. Now, this is an ongoing development and an ongoing strategy that the port has been developing over the years. We are looking forward to developing that, but looking into the broader maritime ecosystem in Bahrain. Bahrain over the years has been known for providing marine coastal services. We are in the phase of developing marine coastal services to incorporate sustainability, but also looking into the circular economy when it comes to ship recycling. ASRI today, or historically in the region, has been one of the first ship repair companies in the region. Today it's developing. Today, ASRI along with Solb, along with Maersk, are developing a new operation that is considered to be the first of its kind, at least in this part of the Gulf. Ship recycling. Ship recycling would be the next big thing within the maritime industry. Today, Bahrain has been developing its capabilities, capacity, and working quite closely with Maersk to recycle their ships and exporting green steel along with the downstream of basically everything within the shipping industry. We are looking forward into developing that with APM Terminals, with Maersk as a main partner, and at the same time looking into the entire aviation ecosystem, the maritime aviation maritime ecosystem, to develop it in a way that sustainability is at the heart and the core of any future plans, of any policies that we are adopting, and supporting them along the way through the ports and maritime affairs.
Thank you. Your Excellency, going back to the industrialization, the human capital and the local jobs are clearly the most important enabler for the long-term objective of creating new industries and new highly skilled jobs. How is Bahrain positioned to create those jobs? We understand there are already many initiatives. You mentioned the green factory steel, the framework on Tamkil. What else is available, and how do you see Bahrain developing even more high quality and high skilled jobs?
Thank you, Giuseppe. So, with regards to jobs, obviously, allowing these factories and manufacturers to increase in size will naturally create better jobs. The idea of increasing automation is to reduce the number of low-skilled jobs and to allow the high-skilled jobs to be benefited from by Bahrainis. One of the biggest job creator in our economy is the SME sector. So we're putting a lot of focus on that sector because that sector makes up 93% of total businesses. And so we look at the challenges which face SMEs and entrepreneurs today. Some of the major challenges are access to finance, which is a serious challenge, and it is a global, actually, challenge for SMEs. Access to markets, especially in a market the size of Bahrain, where we have a small population, a small geographic area, and as you know, manufacturing requires scale, and we don't have that scale internally. So it's critical for us to look at easing access to international markets. The other challenge is innovation in these SMEs and ensuring that business models have the innovation required to succeed. And last but not least is the skills and the entrepreneurial skills which are required for improving the likelihood of success of entrepreneurs. So we did several initiatives. Firstly, in 2017, under the leadership of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, who's the chairman of the Economic Development Board, we launched the SME strategy and the SME Development Board, which brings together all SME, basically government entities under one umbrella. And the SME Development Board has created a strategy to improve access to finance. So we've done several initiatives with the private sector, such as launching a 100 million BD SME growth fund in coordination with the Bahrain Development Bank, National Bank of Bahrain, BBK, and Al Salam Bank. We also worked on some legislation, such as the Secure Transaction Law, which allows SMEs and businesses and factories to mortgage or leverage their non-traditional assets. Historically, they were only able to leverage land and buildings, etc. And today, with the new Secure Transaction Law, they will be able to leverage other non-traditional assets, such as receivables, such as future income, such as intellectual property. And then, last but not least, we are creating, along with Benefit, a credit score platform which will allow SMEs to get rated on their credit worthiness, which will basically allow financial institutions to lend to SMEs much more comfortably, with more transparency, and at the same time, SMEs will be able to get loans easier and at lower interest rates. So really, when you ask about employment, the way I see it is the SME sector is where the future employment will come from, and when we address those challenges, automatically we will be increasing the likelihood of people to get jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. One final question on Bahrain bourse. For a market like the Kingdom of Bahrain, definitely credibility, transparency, innovation play a key role to continue attracting investors. How is the Bahrain bourse embedding those objectives into operations like the financial disclosure, financial instruments? What are the key initiatives and how do you see evolving considering the evolution of the sector, particularly on the sustainability side?
Well, as I mentioned before, asset managers, sovereign wealth fund, the metrics of ESG, the ESG score comes as a prerequisite before looking into the finances or the financials of an issuer. And so that was the focus in terms of the sell side for Bahrain Bourse. The other focus for us is the digital infrastructure to allow investors regionally or internationally to seamlessly connect to our exchange and to diversify the investor base to have more non-Bahrainis investor than Bahraini investors, more retail participation, and allowing this digital infrastructure to flourish within the system of Bahrain. And we are very lucky that the Bahrain digital infrastructure as a whole is accommodating for Bahrain Bourse to embark on those initiatives. So those, I think those are the two elements. The Bahrain Bourse focus on that deals with sustainability, but as His Excellency mentioned, in terms of the SME and their importance, we have launched the Bahrain investment market back in 2018, and we continue to improve the legal framework. Again, with the digital infrastructure, we will touch upon Bahrain investment market again to allow those SMEs more access or better access to capital to grow.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, I would like to thank you for sharing those insights. It's great to see the momentum, the number of initiatives, the concrete initiatives, and the impact. Definitely, Bahrain is well positioned when it comes to sustainability, regionally, at global level, to compete and to continue flourish and diversify the economy further, creating new jobs, diversifying to the aviation sector, and attracting even more investors. We'd like to thank you, and thank you everyone for the opportunity to be part of this conference. Thank you.